your transaction desk account. You're going to use that one-click sign-in link from Paragon. The first time you log in, you're going to go through this little pre-flight because Transaction Desk is an entirely web-based application, entirely web-based to the cloud. Type up your forms, prepare for digital signatures online using the web-based applications. So we want to make sure that you're going to get the best browsing experience on the Transaction Desk platform. To help facilitate that, the first thing that you want to do is allow pop-ups from Transaction Desk. I can pretty much guarantee the first time that you log in, this pop-up message is going to be blocked. So you want to take the opportunity to always allow pop-ups from Transaction Desk. So my computer does, and I'm going to close that pop-up message. But you can see, bottom third of the screen, left-hand side, pop-up blocker. I have a green check there. If you get a red X next to this one or any of the other features here, you will come with instructions on how to take corrective action. So if you get a red X for pop-up blocker, follow the instructions and links to make that correction. Another one I want to speak to here is browser and operating system, and really focus on first Mac users. Mac users, please use Safari browser. No matter what type of Mac device, iPad 1, 2, or 3, MacBook Air, desktop, doesn't matter. Please use Safari browser when on a Mac device. PC users, you have the choice of the big three: Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. Use the big three, whatever your preference. We have been developing for Internet Explorer the longest. Just thought I'd throw it out there. But the other features for Adobe Reader and JavaScript, pre-flight's going to check. If you have it, great. You'll probably get the green check. If not, or it's an older version, you're going to get a red X. Just follow the instructions and links to take corrective actions. Top third of the screen, right-hand corner, clicking here to continue. First time that you log in, you're going to be prompted with the terms of service. This is just the first time that you go through this sequence. Set your time zone at the top. Familiarize yourself with the terms of service. Basically, don't resell our product, and otherwise accept the terms. Bottom third, right-hand side, action arrow to be logged into our Transaction Desk account. Online InstanetForms plus Authentisign. Opportunity to type up your forms online, then prepare them for digital signatures. This is now part of your member benefit. You pay your dues to Pocatello MLS and Idaho Association of Realtors, and you receive these services as part of those membership packages. So first, just that first little safety blanket, if you will, from what I refer to as the taskbar, top center of the screen, that gray bar that runs across the length of the screen, InstanetForms. This is what I call the taskbar, InstanetForms. I'm going to click on that link, because the first thing you need to understand is that there is a forms library view. That's what we're looking at now. Not the most efficient way to use the Transaction Desk platform, but certainly a way to access one form at a time, to print up a blank form, or first type up, then print, or email, or Authentisign, one form at a time. And if that is the limitation of the library view, one form at a time. But you first see folders. Let's start at the top third, left-hand side. We can sort by form name. Typically, it's just in alphabetical order. But a phrase that I want you to start familiarizing yourself with, I would like to. The I would like to phrase, every time you see it, and you see it quite consistently throughout the platform, I would like to. Create new form, print selected, email. You're always going to have options. When you find those I would like to menus, they're going to present you with options, things that you can do on that functional page. We are on the functional page of Forms Library View. We can take those options to create new forms. We can search by form name or unique identifier. If we're looking for one particular form, we can search for that form by name. Otherwise, the forms are in alphabetical order, and I'm just going to go to the Idaho Association. I typically click on those plus signs. That will expand those folders. Opportunities to access these online forms. And your forms are very well numbered, very sequential, unique identifiers. When we click on a form, compensation agreement with seller, See, we've selected it now. It's blue. It's highlighted in blue, and the right-hand side of our screen changes. And that was really the big action, the right-hand side of our screen changing. Because if you look now at the top third of the screen, right-hand side, we can print this compensation agreement with seller. We can print that to paper. Clicking there, it's going to convert our online Instanet form to an Adobe Acrobat PDF reader file that we can print to paper, that we can save offline as a PDF, a dumb, non-fillable PDF. No offense to PDFs, but that's all it is. Print it to paper, handwrite it, take those steps. I'm going to cancel. Top third of the screen there, right-hand side, clicking on cancel. I'm just going to cancel out of that printed view. Print it to paper if you choose to. But first you can type it up if you choose. So compensation, we can give it a name, or we can use the property address if we type that in, or we can use a client's name to identify that particular form. And we can create the new form. Click here on Create New. It's going to launch this form in our Forms editor. And I just want to show you this editor so that you can dispel any anxiety you have about a new forms program. It's your forms. They're the same state forms, association forms, Fannie Mae forms that you've been using all along. The form editor may just be a little different, but my sense is probably more similar than different. Fillable fields. All of the blue fields are fillable. You start typing into the forms. And I'm not going to spend too much time here, to be quite honest, because I hope that everyone has a comfort in typing form fields. Tab key to go from one fillable field to the next. But like I said, this is the limitation. They are blank forms. We work with one form at a time. Throw a little Austin at you there. You type up the form. You tab to the next field. Or, of course, yes, you can mouse click into the field as well. But I use the tab key, type, and tab. Tab to the next fillable field, which just happens to be a calendar. Calendar icon. Scrolling down just a smidge here so you can see it more centered. Calendar icon. You click on the icon to launch the calendar. You pick your calendar from the date. Maybe you even want to say, you can type into those fields as well. Opportunities to type up your online forms. Once you begin typing them up, once you complete all the fillable fields, then what would you like to do? Top third of the screen, left-hand side, File drop-down. I can go on and add a new form, basically open a new form and type that form up. I can save my changes to this form online. I can save it offline or export it out as a PDF. I can print it to paper. So these very traditional methods of delivering, because we also have a send via email option as well. Email, print, save, export as PDF. But what we're about to see in about another 10 or 12 minutes, Authentisign. Now that you've typed up this form online, you can get it digitally signed. We're going to see those features, but traditional ways of printing, emailing, and saving as well. Formatting, just moving left to right along the top there, format, font, style, color, and size. You can view, zoom in on the page. If there was more than one page, you could jump to a particular page. Transactions, and that's really where we're going to go now. We're going to start working with transaction files, not from here, but just want to point out that you can start a file from this form or add this form to an existing file. But right from Forms Editor, you have that transaction desk option to add or create a new transaction file. Insert, clauses, nice feature here. Now there's some setup involved. You first create the clause, and then you can access and paste that clause through Forms Editor. But it's in the Settings tab in your top third of the screen, the right-hand side there. There's Home, Desktop, Settings. If you go to that Settings tab, you're going to see an icon for clauses. You give the clause a name, you type the clause contents, and you save it. You then access that clause from Forms Editor to paste it into your form fields. Reduce redundant data entry. Last one there is help, tutorial-based screenshots, PDF documents, online instructions on how to take corrective actions. or how to complete specific actions. Online help is to help you complete specific actions. Live support is tech chat, it's toll-free dialing, it's email to contact technical support representatives. Technical support, online tutorials. Forms editor. Type up your online forms. Complete all of the required and optional fields, and then exit from form editor. Because when you go to exit, you will be prompted to save your changes. Pop-up message, value of pop-ups right here, front and center. Pop-up message, yes, I want to save my changes. And we'll exit out of Forms Editor. We'll exit back to the library view. And just so you're not in the dark about where to, well, we just typed up that form. Where do I find it? Where is it? It's in the same place where we found it previously. By expanding that Idaho Association of Realtors folder, we now see little plus signs next to the forms that we've typed up. We've created a version of that buyer rep. We've typed up a version of this compensation agreement. We have copies now. We can re-access those copies at Sam Solar. The right-hand side of our screen changes. Another I would like to menu. There's that phrase again. Edit the form. Create a copy of the form. Rename the form. Take the appropriate steps to work with that individual form. But hopefully you're here to work more than with just one form at a time. What we really want to do is talk about and work with transaction files, to work with complete form packets, to autofill our forms with contacts and details of our property information from the MLS and dates and things like that, content that we can autofill into a form set. So let's do that now. Let's first, let's just go up to that taskbar. We are currently viewing InstanetForms, where we're going to click now just to the right in that taskbar. We're going to leave the Forms library view, and we're going to go to the Transactions view. Because Transactions really gives you the opportunity to replace that manila folder filled with paper with an online transaction file filled with digital forms and documents. So let's just take a quick peek. Jane Emily, hopefully this also helps emphasize that you can always come back into your transaction files. You click on Transactions. You click on the file name. By clicking on the file name, we're going to see the details of this transaction file. Just like flipping open a manila folder and seeing all the pages inside that folder, by clicking on the file name, we access this file and see all the details of this online file, like property information. I'm actually going to sneak and steal this MLS ID if I can as well. Use that one again. Property information imported from the MLS to autofill the forms, because we see we have forms here: buyer rep, compensation, financing, agency. We have contacts, buyers and brokers and agents. All these folks have been added to our transaction. When you're working within a transaction file, you really want to stick to this dashboard. I call it the dashboard here on the left-hand side. These red bullet points refer to, in my mind, as the dashboard, because this is where you want to drive through your transaction file. We're looking at the overview screen right now, that top red bullet point, transaction overview. And as you go down that list, dates, hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. History will capture all of the activity that takes place in your online file. Certainly not going to get that from a manila folder. General information will allow you to update the file name and the file status. Property information, again, hopefully pretty self-explanatory. Address, city, state, zip, legal description, tax IDs, whatever content is in that MLS. You can also add list price and purchase price and financing and inclusions and exclusions and all those different features of property information. Call log, great place to log substantive conversations with clients and cooperating agents, or to leave notes about descriptions about this client or property or sale process. Call log to manage those notes or reminders or messages within the online file. Contacts, we're just going to stick to contacts right now. Your buyers and sellers, your clients, your cooperating agents, yourself, your broker, your lenders and loan officers. You add them as contacts to your transaction file. Contacts will also autofill the form fields. AuthentiSign is to access the signing technology right here through our transaction file. We can create new signings and manage those digital signatures. Last bullet point, InstanetForms. Maybe it should be the first one. I've often argued that case, but it is what it is. InstanetForms. From our dashboard, bottom third of the screen, left-hand side bullet point, InstanetForms. This is the forms, or these are the forms associated with this particular transaction file. I have access to my entire forms library, but these are the ones that I've added so far. These are the ones I'm going to work with Emily Jane for her purchase contract. So that is a transaction file. Those are the features and elements of a transaction file. We are going to go back to the taskbar at the top, clicking on transactions, because just as easily as we can access the ones we've created previously, we can create new ones. I would like to. There's that phrase again. Create new transaction, yes. Action arrow to go complete that. Starting a new transaction file. The only thing that you're required to do is give your file a name. That's all we're going to do. Transaction name, top, middle center of the screen. Transaction name. Larry. And we're going to name them Elwood Larry. And Larry, we'll call him a listing, new sale, seller prospect, listing prospect. And this is just how I like to name my files. Please don't take it as a way that you have to name your files. This is free-form text. Name your files the way you like to name them, or the way your office requires you to name them, whichever is more appropriate. This is just my way to name them in this demonstration. Larry is the last name, Elwood's the first name. He's a listing prospect. Maybe you're at a phone duty call, something like that. You're taking calls. You're starting files. That's the only thing that's required. Now, what else do we know about Larry? What else? What other details do we want to start adding to this file? How about the type? Do we know what type of transaction it is? Well, yeah, it's a residential listing. So I can select that from the drop-down list. If I don't see the type I want, I can add to that drop-down list. Import from the MLS. Do we have an MLS ID? And I already know your knee-jerk reaction is like, well, no, I don't know that. I don't have an MLS ID. I don't even know if they're going to be my listing yet. But maybe the property that they have has been sold before. Maybe it's withdrawn or expired or sold. You can import those different types of MLS statuses into your transaction files. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is bringing in property information. You're just trying to get that information into your file to autofill your forms. So you're not too concerned about anything else other than address, city, state, zip, legal description, tax ID, that information. So knee-jerk reaction is no, I don't have that, but after a little bit more thought, maybe you do. Maybe there's an MLS that you can copy in. Or you can start from scratch. We're going to skip this option right now because I'm going to show you how you can import into an existing file as well. Going down the screen, different ways to populate details into your file from previous transactions or from transaction templates. And I'm a huge fan of the templating options. You create the templates. Under the Settings tab, we talked about the settings already for clauses, but also for transaction templates and other details definitely under that Settings tab. Predetermine forms and content to start your new transactions. We show those in follow-up webinars, so we're going to keep moving forward here. I will use the wizard to just walk through to add some new detail to this file. Because I chose residential listing, I've been selected as the listing agent at the bottom. I can change that to selling agent, neither or both if I need to. But otherwise, I'm just going to click on Start Transaction. We're starting this new Elwood Larry, kind of a weird name, but starting this new transaction file. Pop-up message, definitely not my favorite pop-up. Best thing probably about this pop-up is that you never have to see it again. If you check that box to say do not show this message again, you won't be bothered with this pop-up. But the first time, 4 quick bullet points. Think of the transaction file. I like to think of it as a replacement of that paper file. The wizard, just add the information you have. Nothing's required. We can always come back. We can save and exit at any time and go to our overview. Otherwise, we're just setting up this new file, and I'm going to close that message. But, please do check the box so you don't have to see it again. Property information, we are going to populate from an MLS, but just to show you what other details are here, we got listing information for list price and inclusions and exclusions, purchase price for deposits and financing. It's not required, but if you add it here, it will autofill the forms and contracts that we're going to add in step 5. So step 2, property information. Don't have any right now. Clicking on that blue next arrow, that action arrow to go to step 3. Step 3 is dates. Maybe I do have a date, or at least a tentative date, and at least I want to show the autofill features, and that this blue icon is actually a calendar. When I click there on that blue calendar icon, a pop-up message. So again, hopefully pop-up messages becoming very compelling to allow pop-ups. If you have a listing, maybe you have an expiration as well. But again, add these dates so that they'll autofill into your transaction file. Are they required? No. Will you benefit? I think so. Can you come back later and fill them out when you know them? Yes. So we'll just click on that action arrow to go now to the next. Contacts and participants. Now here I just want to verify I've shown up. My demo account is not associated or affiliated with an office. Your account will be. So you will show up here as the agent. Your broker, your office will show up as that listing broker or selling broker. Your account will be affiliated with an office. You will see that office name as an automatic contact. I would like to. There's that phrase again. Now there's not always a ton of options, but there's always the key options to add, or in this case delete, transaction contacts. We want to add one. Clicking on the action arrow there, now we're going to add a seller type contact. The type of contact we're adding is the seller. Clicking on continue, bottom, middle, bottom third, right-hand side, continue. The type is seller. The contact is Elwood Larry. Maybe it has a middle initial. So you want to start kind of rounding that out, especially if you're going to be using Authentisign. This is the details that will go into Elwood's signature blocks and initial blocks, so make sure you have them correct. Phone or cell phone probably more likely. Email address. The details that you got about Larry. If it's a phone duty call, you're probably not getting a ton. You maybe got the address too if it's a listing prospect. But otherwise, add what you have. You can come back at any time and add, revise, or update this information. Bottom third of the screen. Not only do I want to add Larry to my transaction file, I want to save Larry to my transaction desk contacts. Adding to my contacts, saving their contact information. Two things happen when I click Save. One, Elwood added as a seller contact to my transaction file. Additionally, Mr. Larry was added as a contact to my transaction desk database. Up in that taskbar, you see a contacts link. Elwood was added there as well. Add in your contacts. If you have multiple, if there's husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, you still want to add them in separately so that each will autofill those printed name fields under signature lines so that each can be set up as a signing participant, as an individual signing participant. Next step, really the final step of this wizard, is forms. Arguably should be the first step, but I often lose that argument. I would like to phrase, add new forms, action arrow to go to the forms library to pick forms into our transaction file. Plus sign to expand the folder. We're going with the Idaho Association folder, and now we're going to pick the forms we'll need for our new seller prospect. Probably that agency disclosure will be the first one, compensation agreement with seller. Now I'm going to press and hold the control key on my keyboard, that CTRL key, press and hold it down, and click to select the additional form. Seller representation agreement. I'm going to now press and hold the control key and click to accept the additional form. And then I release control so that I can scroll down. Maybe we'll add one more, the seller's property condition. Now I'm going to press and hold Control key and click to accept or to select the additional form. Once I've gone through and selected all the ones I'm going to need, I'm going to add those selected forms to my transaction. And again, I'm just going through the list. I'm picking the forms I know I'm going to need. I'm adding them to my transaction file, and now I'm going to save and exit out of this wizard. Done with the wizard, save and exit, top third, center-ish, big blue button to save and exit. To our transaction overview screen. We've added details. We've added forms and contacts. Now here's where I want to show you the other MLS integration point. Here through our overview, transaction overview, I would like to import data. Anytime you have a file, you can import data into that existing file. Clicking on the action arrow to go, import. You can see Pocatello is a list there. I think I need to go with Intermountain just because that was the one I used previously. And you will only see Greater Pocatello because that's who you're. I just have a demo account which shows more choices. Those are all the MLSs we are currently integrated with. Make sure that your MLS ID and your property type match up, and then simply import data into your existing transaction file. Middle third, right-hand side, import data, reaching out to the MLS, finding that ID, importing address, city, state, zip, and so forth. You can see that because there was no listing broker previously, a listing broker was added. They came over from the MLS. We want to type up our forms now. We want to get this sent off to Larry. I'm going to go from the dashboard, middle third of the screen, left-hand side. I'm going to click on InstanetForms. Clicking on that link to access the forms that I've already added, to have opportunity to add more. But what I really want to do is auto-populate, update my forms with my transaction file details. Middle third, auto-populate, update forms. Clicking on that link, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to select the other forms or anything like that. I just click the link, and the 4 forms that I've currently added have been successfully updated with my transaction details, the property information, the dates, the contacts, all forms successfully updated. So now I click on the form name. Again, it's an active link. I just click on the form name to launch that into Forms Edit mode. And we've already looked at Forms Editor once, so I'm not going to spend too much time in here unless someone has questions and wants to type those questions into the chat section of our GoToTraining sidebar. If that sidebar has collapsed, you'll probably see it in the upper right-hand side of your computer screen. You'll see a little red block with a white arrow. A red block with a white arrow. By clicking on that block and arrow, it will expand that GoToTraining sidebar. The bottom section is called Chat. You can type questions into that chat section. There's also a materials page where you can take away links and a PDF from the session. So that GoToTraining sidebar. Otherwise, this is the form. Here's the column of the 4 forms that we've added in, so we can quickly go from typing up the seller rep to the compensation to the agency disclosure and so forth. Probably the nicest part about this column, if you follow me just up a little bit to the left, a little red minus sign. I don't know if you can tell it's red, but there is a minus sign, and when you click on it, it shrinks that column against the right-hand side of the screen. It's now a plus sign, and I can click to expand it, and I can click to collapse it. Form, auto-filled with our transaction file information. Address, city, state, zip, legal description, my name, my client's name, the brokerage name, the list price. So all this information is coming over from your transaction file. All the blue fields are still fillable. You know, we could certainly say Larry, Elwood, M. Larry, or assigns. So there's still fillable fields to add or revise the details, to go through and type up your forms. As you complete typing up one form, simply expand the column and go to that next form. You will be prompted to save your changes. So go through, right? Type up the forms. All the blue fields are fillable. Type them up, complete your forms to prepare them to be delivered. And that's part of the question you're going to have to ask yourself. How do you want to deliver these forms? I'm going to exit from Form Editor and discuss the traditional ways to print these out to paper, to email them, right? I would like to email selected forms or print selected forms. So the first thing you do is select the forms, either all of them in that top checkbox or just the one or two that you need. Well, I guess we would take them all. And you can then email them outbound, or you can print them to PDF, which will merge them all together and create a comprehensive PDF document that you can print to paper. So that would be a print cycle. Even if you email it to your client, they're going to have to print it out to sign it and scan it to get it back to you. So as part of your member benefit, you can deliver it in those ways. What I think you might want to look at and understand, as we're going to do right now, is Authentisign from the dashboard. Red bullet points, second from the bottom, clicking on Authentisign. We're now going to have the opportunity to prepare them for digital signatures, plot initial and signature requirements that our client or signing participant will click to accept. We prepare them. They click to sign them. This page is merely saying that we have no signatures or signings set up for this client or this transaction. If we did, we would see the previous signings for our file here. Otherwise, we're going to create that first one, Create New Signing. By clicking on Create New Signing, it's going to start prompting me with my transaction file information. You can create blank signings. You do not have to use transaction files. You can certainly just type up individual forms we'll see. But we'll also see that you can upload files into your signing. So if you have PDFs saved on your desktop computer, you can upload them into your signing. That's step 3. There's 5 simple steps. Here, step 1, giving our signing a name. This name will follow this signing. It will be the name of the final document. This name will also be referenced in the email invitation. So we'll call it the listing agreement. But give it a name, unique name that you're going to identify, that you're going to be able to identify this signing from any other. Then click on the action arrow next to go to step 2. So step 1, pretty easy. Step 2, who is signing? Yourself, your clients. Probably in this sense, yes, both of you would have signature requirements on listing agreements and so forth. So by default, it's showing that I'm just going to be a reviewer, but I'm actually going to be a signer. I have signature requirements. My client has signature requirements. We're adding these two signers to our e-signing here. Now, if there's additional people that we want to add in, add new participant. Clicking there, middle third of the screen, center, add new participant. You'll be prompted with your transaction desk contacts, but you can also add folks manually here. So maybe we just want to add Tim title, and Tim is a title officer that is going to play the role of CC only. You have some couple different roles here. Signer, you have signature requirements. You will be responsible for signing electronically. Reviewers have access to the inline signing. You participate. You see the contracts. You accept or decline them, but you have no signature or initial requirements. That bottom one there, CC only, all you're getting is a copy of the final document. Everybody gets a copy. Signers get a copy of the final document. Reviewers get a copy. CC onlys get a copy. That's their only participation, is a copy of the final signed document, if it gets that far. The type is also important. You want to choose a type here as a required field. Tim title, we're going to choose other because he doesn't have, but see what the other ones are: buyers and sellers, landlords and tenants, brokers and agents. If they're signers, choose the type of signer that they're representing. One thought before we go further here: in the name, as you create these names for your signing participants, this is what Authentisign is going to use to build those initial and signature blocks. Your participant will create the signature, but this is what Authentisign is using to build the blocks. Little stamps that are basically going to say sign here, and then that participant clicks to accept and sign. Tim is not in our contacts, so we want to add him there, and we're going to add him to our signing. So we have 3 parties to our signing. Last really thought about step 2, ordering. Authentisign uses a very inline signing method in that first signing participant will get the invitation first. They will agree to participate and click to accept and sign. When they're complete, the invitation will be automatically released to the second signing participant. They will agree to participate. They will click to accept and sign. And it'll go through. Authentisign will continue to deliver the invitations to your signing participants. When everybody's done, everybody gets a copy. So what I want to do is switch. I want to make Larry number 1. He's going to be the number 1 signer. I'll be the second, and Tim will be third, and just get a copy. Update that order. So now we're ordered correctly. We're going to move forward. Clicking on Next. Action arrow Next. Step 3. So step 1 and 2, pretty easy. Give it a name. Add your signing participants. Step 3, we're going to now import forms from our transaction. That's where we're being prompted here. And I'm not going to choose them all. I'm just going to choose the agency disclosure and seller rep, just to keep it light here. But certainly add them all to your signings. Add from your transaction file to your Authentisign signing. Not only can we import forms, we can also upload documents. Upload a file. Top third of the screen, left-hand side, that first blue icon, Upload. This is going to give me the option to browse my computer to look for the documents I need to have signed. So we'll just choose that survey. Add those documents to your signing. Import them from your files. Upload them from your offline storage. This one in particular is being flagged as potentially being rotated or landscaped. If you follow me to the top third left-hand side, that second blue bullet point under Instructions, you can delete or rotate pages of a document by clicking on the document name link. All these are linked. We've been kind of showing that throughout the session. This is an active link. When I click on that Survey Tara Lane link, I'm going to view the document, the survey for Tara Lane. Well, we'll see in the top third of the screen, and it is, right? It's landscaped. So do I want to make it a portrait? Do I want to rotate it clockwise? Upper third, right-hand side, rotate pages, continue. I need to rotate page 1. What angle of rotation? 90 degrees clockwise, and we'll rotate that page. If there was multiple pages of my document, if I uploaded a 10-page document but only needed initials or signatures on pages 3, 4, and 5, I could delete out pages 1 and 2 and 6 through 10. I can manage the documents I'm uploading, rotate the pages, remove the pages, take appropriate steps to get the initials and signatures on the pages that you need. So that's step 3. Get them into your signing. Just to show as well, select from forms. Remember that forms library view. It probably feels like it was yesterday now, but we looked at the forms library view, the individual forms. We typed up an individual form. We can access and add that selected form to our signing. So whether you're using transaction files or just the forms library, you can import those forms. If you're using neither, you can upload documents into your signing. Get them in. Step 3, getting those documents into your signing. Step 4, clicking on that action arrow to go next. Step 4 is plotting where the signatures and initials need to go. Now remember, you're not signing. By no means are you signing for your client in step 4. This is where you're putting the little stamps. Please sign here. Please sign here. Please initial here. You may do that today. You might have those little sticky stamps and put them on all the pages. So when your client comes into the office and you sit down, you have the little sticky on there that says sign here, date here. You probably do that today. Somebody on the call does it. I know it. This basically what we're going to be doing right now. We are going to plot all those sign here for signatures and initials. We know where they need to go, so we're going to put them on the pages now. Our client will be the one who clicks to accept and sign. Thumbnails, 1 of 7 pages here on the left-hand column. Going clockwise, navigation to zoom in or zoom out, or fit width is actually my preferred. Kind of puts it in a nice ratio. Drawing tools, by no means is Authentisign a form editor. Just get that out of your mind right now. Never even think of it ever again. Authentisign is not a form editor. The drawing tools will allow you to make little changes, a little line draw to strike something over, a text box to type in something new. For little small changes, if you need to change a phone number or a closing date or things like that, you just need to type something in that was wrong or misspelled. You strike it over, you type it in. That's what the drawing tools are for. Make little changes like that, not filling out the entire form using those text boxes. And the only reason I say it is because people have done it. So please don't do what they did. But it doesn't look like page 1 has any requirements. Doesn't even look like page 2 does either. It looks like it is just language that your clients can read over. Oh, no, there is. Looks like Elwood does need to sign here. So receipt acknowledged, I'm thinking. So Elwood is the highlighted signing party, and that is important, that Elwood has that yellow highlight, top third of the screen, right-hand side. Because as I click and hold to drag and drop that block onto the page, it will be plotted for Elwood. Here might be the most important part of step 4. Everyone paying attention? Step 4. See my mouse right now is a crosshair? Watch when I leave, when I just slide it over to the left a little bit more. It turns into a hand. And when I hover over the block, it turns back into a crosshair. Click on that block, and it kind of shows me those little squares. So I've activated the block. I can make it bigger by dragging on the corner to kind of make it larger block. I can also use the right mouse button to right mouse click on the block to yield this additional formatting menu, to delete the block, to flip it over, or in this case, add a date stamp. I choose that action. I plot a date stamp, and I can click and hold to drag that onto the appropriate spot. And again, grab the corner, expand it, make it bigger. Right-click on it to get that additional menu. That right mouse click offers you those additional formatting menus. All right, so that was page 2. Keep going forward here. Page 3 of the thumbnails, 3 of 7. Looks like we have some initials here that are going to be required, and we'll get to those in a second because I'm going to verify. I got a feeling initials are going to be needed here on lots of pages. So let's do it like this. Looks like some initials here. Lockbox authorization. Elwood is our signing party. Initial. Click and hold to drag and drop that initial. If he needs it on both, sure, why not? Click and hold to drag and drop that initial. Putting them into the appropriate locations. I'm not putting them in the bottom yet. There's a little method to the madness, so hang in there with me. Going to page 5. Looks like we have some additional initials. Does or does not. You probably just initial the one that they will. So maybe you've had this conversation with them already. I'm going to click and hold that they will or does not. Let's go with does. Add them in. Drop it on there. Page 7. Signature requirements for both myself and for Elwood. Elwood is still the highlighted signing party. I click and hold to drag and drop that block onto the page. I right-click on the block to yield the formatting menu and get the date stamp. Drag that onto the date line. Now here's the important part. Switch the signing party. Greg is now highlighted signing party. I click and hold to drag and drop the block for Greg. I right-click the block to add the date stamp for Greg. We plot the required initial and signatures. But I already hear you. I can't, but I can. Pages 1 through 3, 4, 5, and 6 need initials at the bottom of each of those pages. Pages 3 through 6 of our, 3, 4, and 5 of our signing need initials. So instead of dragging and dropping on each one of those pages, I'm going to switch my signing party. That's always the important first step because Elwood is the signing party who needs to initial. And I'm going to add initials to multiple pages. By selecting that option from my drag and drops, it's asking me where. Where do you want to plot these initials? At the bottom? Yes. Center or left? Probably it's a little left center, so let's go left. And for who? For the seller. Seller's initials. Where? On the representation, pages 1 through 3. Survey need one? And not for this example. Size of the initial, we'll go with middle. We'll add the initials. So we're adding those initials to multiple pages. And now we'll just scroll up through the thumbnails. We've plotted the required blocks here. Going up here, there's the second initial block. So we can drag and drop that on. It looks like center may have been the better choice. But it also is asking for a date. So I want to right-click on that and add a date stamp to the initial block. So not only is the initial, but when they click to accept the initial, it dates that as well. So we'll go up one more. I think we've got 2 more here. Click and hold to drag and drop onto the spot. Right-click to add the date stamp. Last one, page 3. Clicking and holding to drag onto the spot. Right mouse click to add the date stamp. So go through, plot all the required and optional initials and signatures and all those drag and drop blocks. We're not going to have time to cover them all now, but use them as you would benefit from preparing these typed up forms. So remember, you first type up the forms in InstanetForms, then you prepare for signatures and initials. Plot those blocks. Click Next, top center, action arrow, Next, final step, review and send. We want to review the details that we've done so far. Wizard progress, middle third left. Signing setup was the name. We can go back to any of these steps to give it a new or revise the name. Add or revise signing participants. Upload, import, or remove documents. Drop those blocks. And now here we are, step 5, reviewing and sending. We can exit at this point. We set it up, and I'm going to come back later and finish it. You can exit from the wizard and come back at a later time. Otherwise, we're going to send out that first invitation. Authentisign is going to deliver the first invitation. To customize that invitation, we can click on this link where it says to customize the email for Elwood. Authentisign is going to send the email. You are sender in name only. If you would like to customize that email subject line or the message, you can do that. If you want everyone to get the same message, check the box. Just this one participant, leave it unchecked. Save the changes that you've made. You are customizing the email invitation that Authentisign is about to send. Triple, quadruple, verify that you have spelled the email address correctly. Edit it here on the fly if you need to. Finalize and send, thumbs up, ready to go, sending off that invitation. Are you sure? Like any good program, it's not going to take your first click as your final answer. Yes, confirm that you are indeed ready to deliver that invitation. Authentisign will lock it all down, deliver that invitation to the first signing participant. You certainly will have an opportunity to reset it if you immediately realize that you did something wrong or forgot a page or sent it to the wrong email address. you can reset the signing back to step 5. Otherwise, you can always click on the signing name. I'm going to do that here quickly, that signing name, so we can review the progress. Maybe one of the most important features here is the resend last revision to a required participant. So if you need to resend that, update somebody's email address and resend the invitation, you certainly can do that as well. But this is where you're going to get the status updates as people go through that signing process. Returning to Authentisigns, I am going to tab over and log into this Gmail account. We've got about 5 minutes, just enough time here to log in as your participant, right? This is your participant. This is Elwood logging in because you called them. I called Elwood and said, Elwood, just sent you a contract digitally. Going to have you sign it. Log into your email account. Take a look. Logs in, takes a look, sees that he got the email invitation. Remember, you are sender in name only. Your name, email secure@authentisign.com. If you're on the phone with Larry, Elwood, and he's jumping up and down saying, I didn't get it, I didn't get it. You're looking at the email address, you know you spelled it correctly, all the extensions are correct. Have them check their spam or bulk folders. 1.5 times out of 10, that recipient's email provider is going to filter the inbound message. Have them check their bulk or spam folders. Otherwise, they see the message, they click to open the message, they're invited, we see our customization in the subject line, we see our message within the body of the email, but all they're going to see is click here to begin or to click here to sign. I mean that kind of tongue-in-cheek that, realtors don't read, so they probably won't see any of that stuff. They'll just click on the big blue button, which is just fine because that's how they're going to get in. This is what we call authentication. This is where your signing party creates their signature profile. And they have a choice. They can select the signature from some prefab fonts, or they can use our Instanet Ink feature where they can hand write their signature. So by clicking on Instanet Ink, Elwood, I already don't like it, so I'm going to go to the bottom third, right-hand side, and refresh. Start over. We're going to do that again. There we go, a little better. Elwood. Forgot his middle initial, so we're going to go with M and Larry. Right, so he's generating his personalized signature. I like it. If I don't, I refresh and do it again. If I do, I click on Next, because now I'm going to put the initials, E, M, L. If I don't like it, I refresh it. Do it again. If I like it, I approve it. And I click on Approve. Signatures and initials. Passwords. This is a password that only the participant and Authentisign will know. You as the creator, you will not know this password. And I say Authentisign will know because there's always password retrieval tools. So they create a signature profile. They create a password. They agree that the unique identity and signature are approved. They confirm and accept. Those 3 steps, they've now created their profile. Each follow-up signing, all they do is type in their password. Their profile is set with their signatures and initials and the terms of service. They merely type in their password to access future signings. The first one, they create the signature profile. Subsequent ones, they just log in and click to accept. So that's what we're doing now. We're gaining access to our prepared documents. We set them up. They will now click to accept. Thumbnails on the left column, navigation tools. I still like fit width. But basically all they have to do is click on Start Signing, top third right-hand side, start signing, and AuthentiSign will locate and highlight the first signing block. All they have to do is click to accept. When they click, their signature is applied and the date stamp is added. They click to accept. And I really think this is how most folks will go through. They're prompted, so they're clicking. They're prompted, so they click. Once they finish clicking to accept the blocks, then they can go back and reread the content of the contract. Because they're not done. I've got 3 left. I've got 2 left. I've got 1 left. So even though we've clicked to accept all of the blocks, we can still reject the signing. You can see at the top blinking, you have 0 items remaining to be clicked, but I can still reject the signing because I went back to page 1 and started reading the contract. Maybe I didn't agree. Maybe I have questions, so I'm going to exit and come back and sign later. I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to decline, but otherwise return. So you can see just because I've clicked to accept, I have not completed the signing. I can still reject it until I click Done Accept All twice, because you will be prompted to stay in review. Make sure you read it. Make sure you understand that this is a legal binding document. Stay in review. Until you're done, click on Complete Signing. This signing participant is now done. AuthentiSign correlates all of the signatures, initials, delivers the invitation to the second signing participant. It's going to keep going through the signing participants till everyone has done and accepted. Everyone gets a copy of that final signed document. Let's see. I'm going to see where we are. I'm going to close out of that email. I'm going to close out of Paragon. Coming back to our signing here. Typically, I get logged out, so let's see if we can re-access it. To see the status, to see the process, we can see those features by clicking on the signing name. It will take me into that signing, although I believe it has timed me out, so let me do this. Good time for questions if you want to type them into that chat section as I get logged back into our account here. Otherwise, we're just going to see that document in progress. We have one more signing participant I don't think that we're going to get to in this session, but it'll go through that process. Everybody will sign. Once everybody's signed, everybody gets a copy. Additionally, you get a copy back into your AuthentiSign signing. You'll have a final document available there within the signing itself. And I want to point this out as well. Get logged back in. I'm back into the kind of the home page of Transaction Desk. And we looked at the forms library, and we looked at transactions. You can also go right into AuthentiSign. And this is how you can create a blank signing. You just click from that taskbar, click AuthentiSign. Go right from your Transaction Desk account to your AuthentiSign account, where you can create a blank signing or review the signings that you would have today. Questions come in about property disclosure. I guess they would fill it out the same way they fill it out today. You send it to them, they print it, they handwrite it, and they scan or fax it back to you. Property disclosures are entirely different than any other type of form, contract, amendment, addendum. The seller has to fill it out. So it's going to be the exact same way. And unfortunately, they're going to have to do it by hand because they're going to check those boxes and they're going to sign off and they're going to write everything down that they know about that property. So they should handle and you should deliver seller's disclosures in the same process that you would today. Let's see, it doesn't seem like we're spinning here a little bit. So let me go back. Let's see if we're going anywhere here. All right, so that's transactions. AuthentiSign. Seems to be spinning here for some reason. Another question's come in about Book deleting practices. I mean, I guess you determine the best practices, but you can delete a file. You can delete a signing. I mean, as long as it's a practice one, there's really no best practices. You create it, then you delete it, or you change the status to closed file complete or something like that, or just ignore it within your transaction desk account. But you can delete your transaction files. If you do create that practice test, you can go into transactions. You can, I would like to delete selected transaction. Your broker will be notified that that file has been deleted, but otherwise you can certainly delete files, or you can mark them as closed or closed file complete or something of that nature. If that would take it out of your view so you don't have to see it, but you don't necessarily want to delete it. So you have that. Because the Authentisign doesn't work with the property disclosure, you want to go ahead and just have everything faxed over instead. It's up to you. I'm not going to, best practices, it's up to you. If you feel like that's the best thing to do, to send a fax with 15 pages and have them sign it and fax back to you, yeah, by all means, continue to work in that process. What I'm suggesting is that you could create the signing for your listing agreements, your amendments, your addendums, your compensation agreements, because those are the things you need to have signed. The actual seller's disclosure needs to be filled out. They need to fill out all the fillable fields to make sure it's either yes, no, or unknown. Yes, no, or unknown. It's an entirely different document than the representation agreement or the compensation agreement. If you don't feel like that's the case, then by all means, continue to send things via fax. My opinion would be I'm going to send all these via digital signature, and then I'll probably sit down with them, or when I'm there getting pictures and putting up yard signs, I'll give them the seller's disclosure so they can fill it out while we're there doing other things. Take a copy at the time and leave. The seller's disclosure is so fundamentally different than all the other documents that it just cannot be treated the same way within the digital signatures. But with that said, I'm going to be mindful of everybody's time. I'm going to go back to the Home tab. I'm going to re-raise this audio message. Talk about a few items first. YouTube.com/InstanetWebinars. All kinds of recorded content on there, anything from a 1 to 3 minute how do I session all the way up to a 60-minute complete overview session. We have an Authentisign playlist, so you can watch a little 3-minute participant's perspective about the Instanet Inc. You can watch a 1-minute how do I upload a document and things like that. So all different types of video recordings on YouTube. Questions, comments, general observations, Greg at InstanetSolutions.com. More than happy to answer follow-up questions, because honestly sometimes you just don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't know it, and that's where you can email me. I'm more than happy to respond to those questions. If you would like to schedule a more interactive webinar session for yourself or your team or your office, tungle.me/webinar Greg. It's our online calendar. You can find days and times that would be convenient to have a session tailored to the time that you have and the content that you want to cover. So schedule those sessions. They are more interactive, where we can talk to each other, discuss implementation strategies, make sure everybody's getting the highest and best use of their newest member benefit. But with that said, and already sliding a few minutes past, I want to be thankful very much of the opportunity here to present, your interest and attendance, and until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.